As World Cup fever kicks off, celebrity historian Raffi Andonian joins us for a look back at the tournament's history and the moments that made it a global phenomenon. With World Cup excitement building, we're taking a look at the history of the World's Game, from soccer's earliest roots to the rise of the World Cup and the growth of the women's game. We're going to explore how the sport became a global phenomenon. Raffi is joining us once again. As always, great to see you.
Hey, it certainly is a kick to be here.
Oh, my gosh. I love it.
But you're right, the excitement is building.
Yeah.
Because, you know, United States is one of only 5 nations in the world to get to host the World Cup twice.
Wow, yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah.
How did the World Cup become what it is today?
Its story is associated with the modern Olympics. The first modern Olympics are in 1896. In the 1900 Olympics, there's the introduction of the game of soccer. And by 1904, the FIFA is established kind of as a spin-off as a result of that.
Sure.
There's trouble soccer getting traction in the Olympics over the subsequent couple of decades. So by 1930, you now have their own independent tournament, the World Cup tournament. The first time in 1930, a FIFA World Cup is what happens as its own tournament. You have 13 teams in that. It's hosted in Uruguay. Uruguay wins the tournament, which is pretty cool. The hosting nation does so. Now, what's funny is there's a lot of...
If only we could do that.
That's right. If we could do that, that'd be great. Carry that same tradition over, right? But, you know, for the decades after that, it's between South America and Europe that the World Cup goes. It wasn't until the 21st century that you had the first World Cup in Asia and the first World Cup in Africa. So for the 20th century, it was really between Europe and South America. One of my favorite stories about how difficult it was to travel back and forth is the following. The second World Cup in 1934 was in Italy. The Brazilian team takes 11 days to get there to Italy. And then when they finally get there, they get eliminated in the first game.
Oh.
So I had to go right back. So it was hard to travel back then.
Yeah.
Early Olympics, early World Cup, very challenging for teams to come in and participate.
Yeah. Let's talk about the women's game. How about the women's game? I mean, it has come a lot, especially here in the United States. When we think about championships, I mean, they're always up in the top echelon of teams, right?
They are, yeah. Certainly achieved much more than our men's team does, which is still kind of coming up on the world scene. And the women's game, while it seems more recent, because the first World Cup for women was in 1991, however, there was organized women's soccer back in the 1960s, but it gets even better. There's photographs and all kinds of, records of women playing soccer in the late 19th century, so in the 1880s, 1890s. So women were playing soccer alongside men for quite some time, actually. It's not like women started playing soccer later, but it didn't get organized until later, and certainly to become a more global thing. The first tournament for a women's game in '91 had only 12 teams. Today we have 32, and actually coming up soon, they're going to expand to 48 teams. And so it's a pretty short period of time, from the 90s to 2030, over a 50-year span, to multiply ×4 in the field, because the women's game is getting more developed around the world and is deep enough to be able to handle a larger tournament.
Yes. Well, when did the game of soccer begin?
A lot of people think it's England, 19th century, maybe a little bit earlier. But you know what? A couple of years ago, archaeology found in Scotland what we know is the oldest soccer field, and is 400 years old, older than what you find in England.
Wow.
And that kind of ruffled some feathers, because England kind of claims the origin of soccer, right? But there are rocks that are at about the dimensions of the soccer field in the archaeology, and kind of parts that look like a soccer game in the 17th century in Scotland with recent archaeology. So I would say, with new evidence now, that even though England is a popular answer, it looks like Scotland is where it started, a little bit older than we thought in the 17th century. Now, of course, it was in the 19th century that got really popularized in England and exported around the world, because England was a colonial power with its presence across all continents, and it exported the game. And, of course, it's the world's game, as you said.
Yeah, yeah. Do you play?
I do play pickup soccer, not organized soccer. I played since I was a kid. Are you kidding me? My people are Armenian and Greek. We play soccer. I got the legs for it, too. Of course, I play.
Do you play a particular position, or is there a position that you like?
I like to play forward and the striker, because I like to run like crazy, and I'm very aggressive, as you might imagine. So it's how I like to play. We played games when I worked at Gettysburg. We play in the off time near the battlefield, so it was a beautiful view to do so. And one of my other friends, who was a great defender, we'd really get into it and get bloodied up shirts and pickup games.
I love it. Well, thank you for bringing us a history lesson about the game of soccer.
He was Italian, by the way, so of course he was into it.
Absolutely, yes. We appreciate Raffi always. Yeah.